My name is Jack, and this is a module from Discovering Buddhism called How to Meditate. We're going to start with some prayers. These are all from the Gold Prayer Book, and I have them copied and pasted up here so that we don't have to use the Gold Books, but if you have them and you want to, you can. I'm going to start with the short mandala offering, which is on page 35. Yeah, I'm sharing. This ground, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun, and the moon, I imagine this is a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatami. And the four immeasurables. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. And the seven limb prayer, which is on page 35. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. I present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time and rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until the end of cyclic existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of all others to the great enlightenment. And finally, refuge in bodhicitta before the teaching. We do this 3 times. There's a different one on page 34 if you're doing this as your own practice. That's almost identical to this. It just has a few word changes, and those are, well, you'll see what they are if you do that one. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. And before we start, let's just focus our mind for a few minutes on the breath. Breathe naturally. Keep your back straight. You can keep your eyes open or closed, depending on how tired or agitated you are. Opening or closing your eyes can bring you back to the middle. Just the breath in and out. Every time your mind wanders from the breath, bring it back. And we'll just do this for another minute or two. Every time your mind wanders from the breath, just bring it back. It may help to count each breath, but it's not necessary. If you're counting and your mind wanders, start over at 1. And that's all it takes. The beauty of this breathing meditation is you always have your breath, at least while your mind is connected to your body and you're not dead. So anywhere you're stuck, in the doctor's office, at the airport, you can do a quick breathing meditation. I'd recommend you do it every morning before you get up. This is a practice. We want to train our minds to be able to do this. As you get better, you'll be able to do it longer, but don't judge yourself. So this is session 4 of how to meditate. And if there's anyone that's interested in getting certified for this class, getting the certificate and taking the test and doing all the prerequisites, just let me know, and I'll make sure to help you with making that happen with the test and everything. We're in session 4 now, and right now we're going to talk about combining analytical and placement meditation. Both types of meditation are taught in this school, in this Tibetan school of Buddhism. Placement meditation is a meditation that we just did. It's where you pick an object, a virtuous one, preferably, or if you're just training your mind, it could be something simple like the breath, or again, something virtuous like the Buddha, and just concentrating single-pointedly on the Buddha. This is a practice that we want to perfect, and there are schools, even non-Buddhist schools, Hindu schools, and other religions that practice meditation, single-pointed meditation, that the ultimate, if you actually perfect this meditation, this single-pointed meditation, it can bring you into a state of bliss. But that's not the goal here. The goal here is further than that. That's why we combine it with analytical meditation. If you perfect placement meditation, you'll also become clairvoyant, and you'll be able to read minds, know a little bit about the future, know all of your past lives, that kind of stuff. But even with all that, if you don't take it further, you're going to die, and in your next life, you could be a grasshopper if you're not careful. So we have to, there's a purpose to meditation, and we have to remember that. We have to do it for the reason we're training our mind with the breath is so that we can combine placement meditation with analytical meditation. And by the way, placement meditation in the Sanskrit, you might hear the term samadhi. That's the Sanskrit term for it. And long before the Buddha came, the Hindus were very good at this form of meditation. This is not something new, but this is something the Buddha practiced in previous lives also. So this is something that we want to perfect, we want to get better at, but we want to combine it with the analytical, or also known as insight meditation. And in Sanskrit, this would be vipassana. Now, what we're doing is, so we've trained our mind, and we're getting better at being able to concentrate. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what is analytical? You said what placement meditation is, but what is analytical meditation?
Analytical meditation is going to sound to people that don't practice both kinds of meditation, like maybe not meditation at all. But with analytical meditation, we'll take something like, for example, The Perfect Human Rebirth, and look at all the 8 benefits and the 10 richnesses and whatever. We'll look at all these different. We'll look at one thing, but from a whole bunch of different points of view. Ultimately, we want to take analytical meditation and we want to analyze the subject of emptiness. Venerable Calden talks about emptiness a lot. That's what he was talking about last night. Emptiness and the way things are. This is what we're trying to do.
It's very interesting that he never mentioned emptiness last night. I was going to ask him about that. But as much as he's taught, he never used the word emptiness once, whereas on Sunday, Venerable Tendrin was all about emptiness.
Emptiness is kind of a, maybe it's not, it's a very common word that's used for this subject, but when you see things as they are, what you're seeing is the emptiness. You're seeing the lack of inherent existence. That's what emptiness is. And I would be going way off on a tangent if we started doing that. That's a whole nother module, and that can go on forever. But this is the purpose of analytical meditation is, when we're using analytical meditation, we're using concepts and we're using our logic and our reasoning. Why is this computer empty? Why is this keyboard empty? Why am I empty? Why is myself empty? Why don't when my wife tells me that, if I don't believe in Jesus, my soul is going to go to hell forever and ever, I just tell her I don't have a soul, which is kind of what we believe in. The soul would be a solid, independent, existing entity, but we see ourselves as a dependent arising, which is called the king of reasoning when you're trying to get to the bottom of emptiness. So, and he also talked about the truth, ultimate truth, right? And there's actually 2 truths. There's ultimate truth, and then there's conventional truth, and they're both true. And the conventional truth is what we all agree on. I'm wearing a mostly white shirt, that kind of stuff. They're both true. We exist. And that's why emptiness is a difficult word. Maybe Venerable Cullen you might want to ask him next time he talks about it. Why doesn't he use the word emptiness? And some people in our language, it has a different connotation that leads someone to think, well, nothing exists at all. And that is even worse than thinking we exist independently. When you think nothing exists at all, then there's no rules and you can do awful things. But I'm getting off on a subject. I'm getting way off on a tangent here. So the ultimate purpose of analytical meditation is to analyze emptiness, or things as they really are, things as they really exist, true existence, from all these different angles. Like, for example, I'll pick up anything. This remote, you see this black object in my hand, but what's really here? Well, let me just do it another way, because when I was in grade school, I was reading an Encyclopedia Britannica about atoms, and it was saying that, like, if you could under a microscope magnify a molecule to be the size of this room, say an oxygen an O2 molecule, then half of the room would be one oxygen, half of it would be the other, and the speck of dust in the middle of the room would be the nucleus, which is 99.99% of the mass of that atom. So it's mostly space. So this is made up of atoms that are mostly space. Why doesn't it just pass through here? Well, there's electrical charges. There's electrons covering this and covering this. So there's really an electrical charge keeping it from going through. If a neutron bomb was to go off in here, neutrons have no charge. They would go into everything, and then at their appointed half-life, they would start exploding, and that's how neutrons kill people. So it's like that. Neutrons just go right. Neutrinos are even worse because they're about the mass of electrons, so they just go through everything. But yeah, we're looking at things and they look solid, they look independent, but it's really all just space, just a mass of particles. So that's one way, like that's the way I would analyze things, looking at things. If I would, when I'm looking at things, that's kind of what I see. It's all just space, a mass of particles. But you go even down there, even the nucleus is the same thing. It's just protons and neutrons spinning around an empty core. It's wild. It's wild. Everything is just so we see things not as they are, and that's not really the concept of emptiness, which again, I really don't want to open that can of worms quite that wide tonight. But this is what we're going to do with our analytical meditation. Now, let's say you're doing your analytical meditation on maybe emptiness, maybe on compassion, maybe on unlimited love or unconditional love, something like that. And you're going at it from all angles. And let's say you get some insight, some new insight that you didn't have before. The light bulb goes off. You all of a sudden you realize something, you figure something out that you didn't figure out before. This happened to me one day. I was thinking about impermanence and everything. What I heard in one of the lessons is that everything has within itself the seed for it to become non-existent again. And I was thinking, well, how does that apply to? I understand how it applies to most things, but how does it apply to a helium atom? And I said, helium atoms don't have a half-life; they live forever. So, but that kind of swirled around in my mind for months and months and months. And eventually I said, oh, well, it's still got that electron cloud that's moving around all around it. But not only that, it's got a gravitational field. So eventually it's going to join with trillions of other helium and other atoms. And its own gravity is going to make it impermanent. It's going to become something else entirely. So this is how analytical meditation works, and you get an insight. So what happens when you get that insight? What you do, let's say you're sitting down in meditation and you're doing an analysis of something, and you get that burst of insight, don't keep analyzing. Stop your analysis and go to placement meditation. And now and in your placement meditation, focusing, you're going to get a feeling. You get this feeling, you get this new understanding. Make that a part of you. Just focus, start now. Now you've worked on your mind, focus directly on that feeling. You're only going to be able to do it for so long, depending upon how much you've trained your mind. So let's say you could do that for a minute and a half or 2 minutes or 5 minutes. However long you can do it, you do it. And then when it stops, when you realize that your mind is wandering again, which it will, until you've perfected concentration, then you could either start your analysis again, or you could end your meditation session. What's the purpose? And this is the third bullet point here. The purpose of this meditation is to transform the mind. We're trying to take our mind from this way of behavior where we've got unskillful ways of behaving, and we want to transform those into skillful ways of behaving, all the way to the point where I'm going to say it, we become omniscient, where we know it all. Okay? That's the thing that our school believes that, well, pretty much all the schools believe that about the Buddha himself, but they don't necessarily believe that they can do it. We believe that all of us can do it. Not only that, we believe that every living creature can do it. Everyone you love, everyone you hate, everyone that hates you, all the bugs, everything. can become fully enlightened and fully omniscient just by working on the mind. The reason is you're not going to run out of time. Today, you're working on your mind. You're making some improvements. It's getting better and better. You're transforming your mind. You're physically, a lot of people that are not Buddhists like to think of like to conflate the mind and the brain. We don't. We think the mind is completely something different. But a funny thing happens when you transform your mind, your brain also changes physically. That happens. If you are back in the 70s, I drove a cab down in Miami. That was before Google Maps. One of the requirements for becoming a cab driver was memorizing the streets. And in one of Malcolm Gladwell's books, he talked about this very effect that somebody that becomes a cab driver, memorizing the map is going to physically change your brain to incorporate those maps. So you're going to have obvious physical changes if they do MRIs on your brain, because you're learning these maps of the city over and over again. So there is a connection between the brain and the mind, but they're not the same thing. We talked about the mind in other sessions.
Jack,
okay.
isn't that called neuroplasticity?
It is.
Yes,
it
that's
is.
okay. That's what meditation helps us do, right? Or
meditation, yes, meditation
is a neurotransmitter. It transforms the neurotransmitters over time.
Correct. Yeah. It changes as much. This is not something that has been believed for a long time. It used to, I mean, when I was in high school, I think it was even as early as then. That was like back in the 70s. It was believed that your brain doesn't change. I'd have to look it up. Somebody can fact check me on that. But there was a point where they recently where they discovered neuroplasticity, and that is caused by the mind, and that is caused by and that is affected by meditation too. So by doing our daily meditations, we're physically changing our brain, making it into a better meditator.
Does it matter that we're changing our brain?
Yeah, because
I mean, the whole concept, as Iris points out, the whole concept of it's really the transformation of your belief system, isn't it, more than anything else?
Yeah, that the most important is transforming the mind.
Right.
But imagine like right now we've got a huge supercomputer as a brain. Imagine upgrading it. I mean, imagine if you could put the brain, if you could upgrade your brain to the point that it was the same brain as His Holiness or Lama Yeshe or Lama Zopa. Their brains they've worked on their minds, and their minds have changed their brains so that they're better. Things just it's like doing exercise. We do exercise, our muscles get stronger, our heart gets stronger. If only we would spend as much time as we do on our bodies as we do on our mind, we would get there so much faster. And people like Venerable Calden and Venerable Tendrin and Rinpoche, this is what they do. They spend more time on their minds than they do on their bodies. I believe. I mean, maybe I don't know for sure. I don't spend 24/7 with them.
According to them, that's true.
And this is just kind of what I see. I could, I don't see them when they're not sitting up here. So it could be something else, but I don't know. This is just what I like to believe. So yeah, but both are. I mean, these bodies are important. We don't want to be. We don't want to be reborn into into an animal. We want another. If we don't become enlightened now, if we don't become liberated now, or get into a pure land now, we want to at the very least, get another perfect human rebirth. And the reason we want to do that is because this is the best vehicle for us to make progress on. This is the best, and this is the best, system for us to make progress on. Okay, using a slow and steady pace. Transforming the mind takes time. I may be a great example of this. I mean, I've been at this for 26 years, and I'm still not. I don't feel like I'm not as far along as I should be. I know I'm not gonna. I'm comparing myself a little here, and we're not supposed to do that, but I'm doing it in a different way. I see people that have gotten much further, much quicker, um, and been much more enthusiastic. But I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I'm going to be, I am what I am. I'm going to be patient with myself. I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to make steady progress. And so should you. Don't judge yourself. That leads to discouragement and giving up, or to arrogance and thinking, I've arrived. I don't need to do anymore. That kind of stuff. We want to avoid that. We want to keep slow, well, as fast as we can without burning ourselves out.
You said that you're comparing yourself in a good way. So what would you mean?
Well, the good way is, comparing yourself and using it to get discouraged is the bad way.
Yeah.
Comparing myself to, say, somebody like Venerable Cauldron, saying, I want to be like that. He has all these good qualities, or His Holiness, or Rinpoche up here, and saying, I want to be like that. That's the good way. And I'm doing the best I can. That's all I can do. Maybe I could be doing better. I don't know. Maybe I'm not doing the best I can. Maybe I'm doing 80 or 90%. But that's still good enough. That's going to have to be good enough.
I think you're doing the best you can.
Thank you. Thank you. So, and perhaps this is a fairly good example that, you could plod along with this for decades, and just so long as you don't quit, just so long as you keep going, you're going to keep advancing. Your mind is going to get better and better. And eventually you're going to reach your goal. I may or may not reach it in this life. I've been told, by the likes of Venerable Tendrin, that don't judge yourself and say you can't be enlightened in this life. You don't know anything about your past karma. Or if you do, then you're very advanced. But I'm going to get myself a little cup of water. I forgot to do that. Sorry. So just, perseverance. Keep going in a positive direction. Occasionally we'll take one step back, but let's try to take 2 steps forward. 1 step back, 2 steps forward. Keep making progress. Many of you should know or have heard about the story of the tortoise and the hare. They somehow got into a race. I don't remember the story verbatim. And the hare got almost to the finish line, and in his arrogance, he figured he'd take a nap. Meanwhile, the tortoise just kept going and passed him up, won the race. I think everybody knows that story, but that's what we're trying to do. We're going to get there. If it takes me 1 trillion years to become fully enlightened, it's not going to matter, because I'll be fully enlightened. I'm not going to care that it took me 1 trillion years. Right now, I'd rather it was tonight. Okay? Because I'm suffering. This is a suffering existence. and I'd love to be out of suffering. I'd love to be omniscient. I'd love to be in a position to help everyone I love. I have children and grandchildren and mother and brother and sister. And I'd love to be in a position where even everyone that hated me, I love. That would be wonderful. And everyone that I didn't know, everyone I passed on the street, I loved. They were all my friends. I'd love to be. I'd love to be like that. That's what a Buddha is like. If I can do it tonight, I'd love to be there. If it takes me 1,000,000,000,000 years, I'm going to just keep going in that direction. This is one of the things about many lifetimes. In this society, we haven't been raised to believe in many lifetimes. We've been pretty much, this is it. When you're, like my father believed, when you're dead, you're dead. Religious Christians or Jews, you go to heaven or paradise or whatever. And that's that, it's all up to God. Actually, very religious Jews do believe in reincarnation. They believe that, whatever. They also believe reincarnation, but it's not a common belief among most people in this country. So it's a little foreign to us. But if you do any kind of side study on it, you'll find out there's a tremendous amount of evidence for it. So although nothing is really provable, you have to experience something for yourself. Nothing is, I mean, once you perfect placement meditation, then you'll know that it's true. It won't be a matter of proving it or not proving it. You'll just know. But in the meantime, if you have questions about it, check out the evidence. There is quite a bit. And the most interesting evidence is not the Eastern evidence. It's the evidence of people that were born in this country that remember all these fantastical things that actually there's no way they could remember them. They're maybe 4 years old and they remember being a fighter pilot in World War II or something. And it turns out that the stuff that they're talking about actually, yeah.
But also, if you just look at your own life and you look at one characteristic that you seem to have and that you always had, some really positive quality that, you say to yourself, I've always been this way. In spite of everything that's been around you, you've always, whether it's, generosity, whether it's an open heart, whatever it is. And that's the consciousness you brought with you.
Well, yeah. This is what we take from life to life, is we take our habits. I mean, some people wonder how you could have 3 children and all 3 of them are entirely different. They have entirely different personalities because this one has that habit, that one has the other habit. My son, when I think it was 4 or 5 years old, he was in the garage with my mother and there was a cockroach and she was getting ready to spray it with the poison. And he said, don't do that. It's not going to hurt anybody. Now, I'm terrified of cockroaches. I wouldn't have said that. But so where did he get that? He got that from his, he's very close. I'm sure he had a vet, my son. He's like in his 40s now. I wish he was here. But I'm sure he had some very strong Buddhist practices in his previous life. The reason I don't practice Buddhist evangelism is because it's a very bad habit for somebody to get all excited about it and then turn away from it. So I don't want to talk anybody into believing this. I want to let them kind of come to it themselves. And then make their own decision and have their own response.
Earlier you said you're Buddhist and your wife's Christian.
Yes.
So what's your son?
Neither.
Where does he fall?
Neither. The way he behaves, I think he'll become a Buddhist. When he was very young, he was taught the Christian stuff, but that was very young. And And then, well, that's a whole nother thing. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into that. I don't have time to get into that right now, but yeah, he's probably what you would call agnostic. He's gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna let him.
Isn't Buddhism somewhat agnostic?
Buddhism, some people don't even consider a religion; they consider it a
consider
philosophy.
Philosophy.
Yeah, but you get into a lot of things. You get into a lot of things. It can also be considered a religion. In Buddhism, in addition to there being humans and animals, there's also uh, two realms of gods, and a realm of hungry ghosts and various hells. So I don't, you know, that could all be considered religious. It's up to you what you want to call it. Uh, it's tomato, tomato. Now here's the thing. One of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to. Some people get very excited when they discover Buddhism and meditation and all these wonderful things that are happening, and they get all enthusiastic and then they burn out. They're like here every day and they're doing everything, and then all of us then you never see them again. I've seen that in my I came to the center 26 years ago. I've seen it many times. A lot of people that you see and then you never see again. That's burnout, and it's unfortunate. So this is why we want to go. Rinpoche used to use the exact term slowly, slowly. And I already mentioned this. Why spend less time working on our mind than we do working on our bodies? I know I do spend less time working on my mind than I do on my body. Maybe not though, because once you get into the habit of this philosophy, of this religion, of Buddhism, once you get into the habit, you're sometimes applying it all day long when you're driving in your car, when you get angry and you realize it, when you get frustrated or irritated and you realize it, when you start wanting something real bad and you realize it and you start catching you're watching your mind, then maybe you're working on your mind more than you're working on your body. So that's you can do that. I was a Christian for a long time. So they have a phrase, pray without ceasing. I think that this is what he was talking about is we want to practice continually. We can practice every second of the day by always watching our mind. And when our mind wanders off and we're doing something unskillful, if we can bring it back, it doesn't matter that we did something unskillful. That's going to happen until we become Buddhists. The
So
fact,
how would you sum up, not going too deep because it's, so broad, the philosophy of Buddhism?
the philosophy of Buddhism, without going too deep,
Yeah.
the Four Noble Truths. Suffering is a fact.
Okay.
There is suffering.
Yep.
There's a way out of suffering. There's a way to get rid of it. And there's a path to suffering. This is such an easy thing. I should know it. I've got a computer here. The computer knows.
I can give you my perspective.
Sure.
For me, it's becoming the best person I can be. So moment to moment to moment. So for me, it's a matter of recognizing there are virtuous views and there are unvirtuous views. And the conditioning of my mind, just because of my journey, based on the Buddhist perspective, is very much on the unvirtuous views. So it's really about transforming my mind so that as much as possible, moment to moment to moment, I can live from the more virtuous views, be the best person I can be, And when I'm in the unvirtuous realm, try to recognize it and do the best I can to transform it. So it's really, as Venerable Calden would say, it's the major focus is the transformation of your mind.
And that's how and that's ultimately how we escape suffering. That, suffering is a fact, and the Buddha he has managed to completely eliminate suffering, and not just for himself, but he became fully enlightened for the benefit of all. So that when you become fully enlightened, you're omniscient, so you know exactly the best thing to say or to do for another person to help them along the path. I obviously am not there yet, but I do the best I'll do a little. I'll be a good example of somebody who's trying. Somebody who's trying to get there.
Well, you're here now, so you're doing, not trying.
Yeah.
And we're all here now. So
Exactly.
we're all doing, and
We're
we're all
doing. Nobody's trying. We're doing.
yeah, we're all
Yeah.
and we're doing
You know what I'm
both. We're
saying?
trying and we're doing in the same
Yeah,
breath.
yeah.
Well, I think the word that's used a lot is practicing.
Yeah.
We're doing the practice. Doctors say they have a practice. Doctors never say they're perfect.
Calden likes to say we're applying
Yeah.
the teaching.
Well, not only that, seek and you shall find.
Yeah.
We're seeking. So
Absolutely.
So if you create the causes to become fully enlightened, you'll become fully enlightened whether you want to or not. So it's just cause and effect. It's cause and effect. If you do the right things, like Bob was mentioning about ethics, if you live an ethical life, if you do no harm, if you help if you're kind, that kind of stuff, this is the major cause to get a perfect human rebirth. This is what they talk about. This is the reason we have a perfect human rebirth now, is because we were ethical in some past life, probably the most recent one. Yeah, that's the way it works. If you create the causes, it will happen. So this is what we want to do. We want to learn the causes to become liberated from suffering and fully enlightened, and we want to practice them. And I was talking about this at the beginning, about comparison, about how it's not helpful to compare ourselves to others. Oh, he's doing so much better that, and I spoke about the reason why there's a bad way to do that. I could never do what they're doing, or I could, and then just become discouraged and go to the casino, that kind of a thing, or go to the bar or get another girlfriend, whatever, cheat on your wife, I don't know, whatever it is that makes you happy. Thing is, those things, this is what we learn, is those things that won't make you happy. What you want to do is, instead of comparing yourself to other, you want to do like we were just talking about. You want to do, you want to seek, you want to keep practicing. And there's an easy way and a hard way. The hard trial and error, you can still get there by trial and error, like a mouse in a maze. But the easy way is by learning from someone who's done it, like His Holiness or the Buddha, or Rinpoche, or Venerable Calden, or Venerable Tendrin, somebody like that. Somebody who's done it has much more insight in what's helpful and what's not, and that's a shortcut. This is why when parents are raising their children, they say, do this, don't do that. And there's generally a reason for it. When my children were too young to understand the reasoning, and they wanted a reason, I said, because I said so. And that had to be enough. Okay. But eventually they learn, they get electrocuted by the socket, or they burn their hand on something hot, that kind of thing. And then they just, I was just, my 5-year-old was on a balance beam last weekend, and I was telling her, be careful, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt yourself. Yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine. She hurt herself. Not badly, but it was just, I did not, I bit my tongue. I did not say I told you so, but it's like that. There's an easy way and a hard way. And the easy way is to learn. We've got it so good here. On my phone, I've got Dharma books. I've got dozens and dozens of books. They've got all these books on audio tape. I spend so much time in my car. I listen to these audio tapes of people that are way ahead of me. I'm not comparing myself to them in the way that I'm going to become discouraged. I'm comparing myself. They've done something. They've got what I want, and they're where I want to be.
Which is
they're a lot happier. They're a lot. They don't need anything. If you talk to any of these fully ordained monks or nuns, they're basically.
So what do you need that makes you unhappy?
We all live from an outer world, external perspective. That's how we're conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the cause of our suffering.
Mm-hmm.
That we're grasping, we're clinging, we're self-cherishing, we're me, myself, and I. So that's ultimately the cause of our suffering. And to the degree that that becomes less and less and less, it transforms into inner peace and happiness. It's the transformation of an external grasping, which is temporary pleasure that then becomes suffering, into more inherent happiness.
Well, I mean, just a perspective, because there's some, it's all situational perspective too,
Yeah, everybody. This is the first noble truth is suffering. So even the monks and nuns, they're suffering too,
Yeah.
but not as much. Like if you don't have anything, nobody can steal from you. You can never get anything stolen. You don't care. Rinpoche up here, I'm like, I don't know which one of you. I have the worst memory, but Rinpoche, he would have a line of people. If somebody would give him something, he would just give it to the next person in line. He never. The stories I hear about him is he never asked for anything, and he was just always happy. Same with you take His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Here's a man that, for all intents and purposes, he was the ruler of a country called Tibet that got invaded by the Chinese communists, and the Tibetans were either murdered or imprisoned or escaped to India. There was a tremendous amount of suffering. You never hear a boo out of him about that. As far as it is what it is. I saw him last October in Dharamsala. I mean, he's as happy as he can, and he never stops. He never stops working for us. Ultimate happiness is where this what if you want to get fully enlightened, this is what the Buddha said. If you want to get the most enlightened, I should just read the passage because I've done that in the paper. I've actually got it up here.
What do you say from your perspective?
From my perspective, I still get angry. I still get irritated. I still have trouble meditating, keeping my mind focused. I would like to be completely free from suffering and omniscient, and I know that some of these other people are much further along than me.
What did you say? Suffering is a state of mind?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, even physical pain. One of the things I learned when I was in high school was hypnosis, and you can use hypnosis as an anesthetic. You can. what it was in a book. My first exposure to it was in a novel called The Last Babylon, where there was like this nuclear war. So now there's no painkillers. There's no medicine for the painkillers. And the dentist in town just happened to know hypnosis. So he started using that as the anesthetic. And it kind of shows you the power that the mind has over the body. The mind can, there's no limit. The mind is limitless.
I always say that we're three-dimensional beings. We're spirit, but we operate in the world of mind, but we're kind of trapped in a body.
Yeah. Well, we're not
trapped, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the environment, but really everything's operated in the world of mind. Operation of life itself.
The mind is everything. Yeah. Everything comes from that's another thing that comes from Buddhism, is that everything is from the mind. If we manage to transform, the more we transform our mind, the less we suffer. Yeah. Because if something that used to bother you doesn't bother you anymore, that's one piece of suffering that's no longer in your life. And are you, like I was just saying, it's not helpful to compare ourselves to others, except when we see beneficial qualities that we want. And that's when we say, I need to work on myself. I need to work on myself. The next part of this is rejoicing. This is the easy way to get merit. And I like to think of merit as more of a, more habit, karma. But if you remember, one of the prayers that we did at the beginning was the 7 limb prayers. And one of the passages, rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. When you see something good, your mind can go to envy. When you see somebody successful at something, or somebody win something, or somebody get a promotion, or somebody do something, sometimes your mind can go to the wrong place. If you can train your mind to rejoice in that, this is something Shanti Deva says, if I can be happy at the joy of those who take delight, then everyone is a source of joy to me. So if every time you see something good, if you can train your mind to go to the right place instead of the wrong place, you'll be nothing but rejoicing. And rejoicing is, when we talk, purification has the 4 R's, but Venerable Tenbren has added the 5th R, and that's this rejoicing. You got to pat yourself on the back. When you sit down to meditate and you do your meditation session, no matter what happens, you pat yourself on the back because you came and did it. When you listen to an audiobook, when you read a book, a Dharma book, something that is working on your mind, something that's going to transform your mind, pat yourself on the back. It's not arrogant. You're giving yourself some encouragement to move forward and to keep going. You want to keep your enthusiasm up. This is one of the 6 perfections, enthusiasm. You want you want to perfect your enthusiasm. That's how some of these guys, like Lama Rinpoche, could go 24/7 without stopping, just helping people. His Holiness the Dalai Lama can go without stopping, doing nothing in his life but helping people. Rejoice in your own practice. Rejoice in your progress. It's good for you. It'll help you with your progress. It'll help you perfect enthusiasm, which is one of the most difficult of the perfections to perfect, because we're naturally lazy. We want to stay in bed another hour. We want to put off this good thing that we want to do until tomorrow. There's also the laziness of busyness. I'm too busy to do that. Or the laziness of discouragement. I'm not good enough to do that. I'm not smart enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not, whatever it is. That's a form of laziness. let that all go so that we can perfect our enthusiasm. Talking about let it go, expectations. When we sit down to meditation, we all want a terrific meditation, the best meditation. 30 minutes of sitting there focused on something, analyzing something, having some kind of fantastical realization doesn't always happen. Doesn't happen often. Maybe if you get better, maybe it does. I don't know. I'm not there yet. But have no expectations that it's going to be good. Whatever it was, just show up. Show up and do your meditation. Show up and do your practice. Don't expect it to be good or bad. Don't judge it in any way. The only thing you should judge is that you showed up. If you show up and do the practice, rejoice, pat yourself on the back. And we were talking about this before. I got ahead of myself. Attachment to results leads to discouragement. You can get all kinds of good results in the beginning. Say you're practicing for a year and you're getting all these fantastic results, and then the second year, oh, it's not nearly as good. I'm falling, this is a wasted time. I don't know why I'm doing this. No, don't let that happen. Don't be attached to results. Don't be attached to anything. This is what the goal is. It's the path. It's the journey. It's not, we want to get there, but when you get there, nothing will have arisen. I don't know how to explain that. That's in the Diamond Sutra. When you were fully enlightened, he asked them, did you feel that you realized anything, or did you realize nothing? No, nothing at all. The goal is the path. Just get on the path, stay on the path, and as we said earlier, if you do, what did I say? If you create the causes, the result will happen. Just don't expect it to happen tonight. It might happen. Don't expect it not to happen tonight. Have no expectations at all. Our own business, minding our own business, working on our own minds. I so often look at others. This is one of the things that irritates me, that I'm working on, is when I see people that don't have the tools that I have, and they're getting angry and they're getting frustrated, and it can irritate me. I have to work on my own mind. I'm not learning this so that I could tell that one about it, or that one about it, or this is your problem, or that's your problem. Unsolicited advice, no, we don't want to go there. Even solicited advice can get you in trouble. Somebody can ask for your advice on something, and then you're just asking, or you really want to know. And you give them the advice, and I've had this happen. I give them, I tell them what I think, and it's just my opinion, and they get mad at me because they wanted the advice that they wanted. So be careful. Work on your own mind, and when you become omniscient, then you'll be in the best position to help, because you'll be able to know what's in their mind, and you'll be able to know exactly what will help. It's not saying that you can't be helpful now. You can be helpful along the way, but don't expect to be successful. You might give advice, and it might have disastrous results. The only thing I can recommend then is don't beat yourself up if that happens also, because you're not a Buddha yet. You can make a mistake. You can give somebody some awful advice, and it can have an awful result, but your intention was to help. It's about, one of the things, I think it was Venerable Tendrin that said just recently, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was If in doubt, keep your mouth shut. And I've been practicing that this week. Shantideva, this is in one of this is in his the way of the Bodhisattva. Be like a log of wood. If somebody is doing something to you, if somebody is hurting you, if somebody is harming you, if somebody's insulting you, if somebody's stealing from you, if somebody's irritating you, if you can be like a log of wood, if you could imagine that you're just a tree and just stand there and just maybe nod your head, which a log of wood wouldn't do, and not respond, that can be very helpful.
Well, today I lead meditations. Well, I do boxing and meditation.
Yeah.
And so today, basically, what it was is not to get offended. And basically, that's what it is. Like, just spend today, the whole day, no matter what happens, no matter the circumstances, or no matter who calls you, because it's always like the loved ones, don't get offended. And that's what I feel that you were saying.
Perfect.
Like, that log, like, I'm not going to get offended. Which is so hard to do.
Yeah. If in doubt, if we can just keep silent, and this act, I mean, my son, he's not a Buddhist, but I said, my sister comes to me with I felt all kinds of family drama between my sister and my brother, and my sister is always coming to me with stuff, and I asked my son, he's my son, but I ask him for advice, and he says, well, sometimes she's just looking to vent. So if you just listen without trying to give advice, that's all she needs sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I've been taking that advice too. It works. I don't want to go. I don't know if I can finish all this. I wanted to do the meditation for the purification meditation. So I might not be able to finish all these points. I think we talked about a lot of these things while we were doing it, but if we have time after the meditation, I'll go through some of these points. But right now, what we're going to do is, because I know that last week I went over about 10 minutes, and that's kind of it's late enough. Some of us have jobs, work all day, and this is a lot. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to go to this meditation. And let me find it. Here it is. Okay. Each one of these modules has a meditation with it. And if you want to complete the course for a certificate, you're expected to do these meditations 3 times each of these meditations 3 times. And this is a purification meditation. This is an analytical meditation, so we're going to look at it from various points. And if at some point a realization comes to you, you can stop with the analysis and focus on the insight that you're getting. So arrange your body in a comfortable and conducive position for meditation. Relax your body. Let go of any tension you might have, but still keep your back straight, which helps keep your mind clear and focused. Generate a positive motivation to do this meditation, such as you're doing this meditation so that you become fully enlightened for the benefit of all. Be aware of the breath as it comes in and goes out of the nostrils. Now, imagine as you're breathing in, you're taking in a very pure and blissful light. Imagine that the air that you're breathing in is a pure and blissful light. This light represents all the positive qualities that exist in the universe. Imagine that these are the qualities of enlightened beings that you're breathing in. You're breathing in perfect, unconditional love for all. Universal compassion for all. Wisdom that understands the way things are and is completely unconfused. Courage, totally without fear, especially in regards to helping others. No matter what has to be done to help others, being very skillful in knowing how to help each person according to their mind and their needs. You can think of other positive qualities that you would like to develop within yourself. Think that those qualities are in the form of this light. Imagine breathing it in again. When it comes into your body, it flows into all the parts of your body, going all the way down to your toes, your fingertips, and filling every part of your body down to the cells. Spend some time doing that. Breathing in this beneficial, blissful light. Letting it fill your body. And think of the light as having having the quality of healing you, whatever pain, problems, sickness, suffering you might have in your body and mind. This light can heal all those things. Have the feeling that this is really happening. Have the feeling that there is really this blissful, clear light coming into you and filling you. Be content with whatever visualization comes to you and feel that is really happening. There really is clear light coming in and filling you. Your body becomes very light and clear and relaxed. The nature of this light is blissful, so nice. This feeling fills you up. Continue to visualize this clear light coming in every time you inhale. Now, begin to visualize smoke or pollution going out of your body whenever you exhale. This smoke or pollution is whatever problems that you may have, sickness, pain, physical problems, discomfort, but more importantly, aspects of your mind that are problematic, negative aspects of the mind, anger, pride, selfishness, spite, and so on. Anything in your mind that makes you unhappy or disturbed. All the negative karmas you've created in the past. Any negative actions you've done in the past. Anything that is negative in your body or mind, imagine that going out of you every time you breathe out in the form of smoke or pollution. And it disappears into space and doesn't really go anywhere or pollute or disturb anything. It just becomes non-existent. Continue to meditate like this. Clear light coming in, smoke going out. Good things coming in, bad things going out. With each breath, your mind becomes more and more clear and more pure and blissful and free of all problems and negativities. Now, to conclude the meditation, let's dedicate the merit to the benefit of yourself and others, to the benefit of all, and that all includes yourself. May it bring greater peace, happiness, clarity, and freedom from suffering and problems for as many other beings as possible. So we have a little bit more time, but before I go into some of these other points, let me stop and see if anybody has any questions. If you're online and you want a question, just temporarily unmute yourself and go ahead and ask it.
I have a quick question, Jack. The insight meditation and Lam meditations, like that series of meditations that Thubten Chodron has. I don't know if you're aware of them, but they're about 30
Yeah.
minutes each on different topics. Same thing, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, those are analytical meditations.
Okay.
That's what the Lam is.
Right.
It's got all these different subjects, and you meditate on each one, and it's got all these different points. That's why it's in outline form. So, the object is to memorize the points. At first, you might want to just pick a point or two, but yeah, that's exactly what analytical meditation is.
But
It's simple.
ideally we start, sorry to interrupt you. Ideally, we start with the placement meditation and then go into
Yes.
the analytical. Okay.
Yeah, we always do a short placement, at least a short placement meditation, because whatever we were doing before the meditation, our mind is all agitated and jumping around from here to there. We want to calm the mind down a little, and we want to start getting the mind focused on something like the breath. The meditation that we just did was a visualization meditation. That's yet another kind of meditation where in this case, we were visualizing light going in and out, and clear light coming in and good things coming in and going out. There's visual, but yeah, the the analytical. If you start with a brief placement meditation, it calms the mind down, and then you'll have a better analytical meditation because now you've made up your mind that you're going to analyze this subject. And let's say you pick a subject like compassion, and while you're thinking about compassion, your mind wanders off to impermanence. Now, impermanence is another good thing to analyze and to spend an analytical meditation on, but you've already decided your analytical meditation is going to be on one thing, not another. So you'll bring your mind back to what you decided you're going to meditate on, and you'll analyze it from all those different angles. Yes.
Great. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, I'll go through these things real quick. Unusual experiences. I talked about this a little. Sometimes in your meditations, you'll have pleasant or unpleasant experiences. You don't want to be averse. You don't want to grasp or be attached to pleasant experiences. Pleasant experiences are nice. They're the result of good karma. You did something good in the past, so you're having a pleasant experience. But if you're attached to it, and then in your next meditation you can't hold on to it, or in your next meditation you don't have it again, you'll be discouraged. So don't grasp, just enjoy it. Realize that it's it's going to pass, it's impermanent, and keep meditating. You'll have unpleasant experiences. Maybe you'll be meditating and It could be anything. It could be anything. Your mind could wander into areas where you're getting angry or irritated, or an unpleasant experience like pain or anything like that. That too will pass. Whatever it is, it's going to pass. What you want to have is what's called equanimity. Whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, just watch it. This is what we're doing with meditation, is we're becoming familiar with our mind. That is the literal definition of the word meditation in the Tibetan, is becoming familiar. We're becoming familiar with our mind, and that is how we're going to fix the problems. You can't fix a problem if you don't know what the problem is. So in our meditation, we see these things come up and we work on them. Whatever the thought is that arises, pleasant, unpleasant, it's just another thought. It's impermanent. Let it go, notice it, make a note, make a mental note, and off it goes. It's just another karmic seed. It's something from your past, either from this life, probably from a previous life, something you did, something is arising in your mind, and something pleasant, something unpleasant. It's like a wave on the ocean. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to be gone. Pain. You want to be careful. You don't want to do. Somebody once asked, not me, but the teacher of this course, in the online course, asked the teacher, can you hurt yourself meditating, like sitting in the proper posture? She had never heard of anybody that had actually injured themselves meditating. I guess it's possible, so be careful. I know that one time my mother used to go on these junkets to Las Vegas and stuff, and one of her friends went with her and was sitting on the airplane in one position too long and had some kind of blood clot or embolism or whatever. I don't know what it was. It was never the same. So you want to be careful. Pain is a message from your body to your mind telling you that something's wrong. It's possible that nothing's wrong, that you're just, so you could just watch it. You want to explore it. Sometimes it's good not to do anything about it for a minute, just to watch it and observe it and see what it is and see if it'll just pass by itself. Cold, hunger, whatever it is. It's just an experience. It's coming up. You could let it pass. What's your name?
Jonathan.
Jonathan. It's just what you were saying before. It's all the mind. It's all in the mind. I mean, that's not to say physical things aren't there. All this stuff is here. It all exists. But it's coming into our mind as there's a picture of this being painted in my mind that may or may not be 100% accurate. It's close, unless there's something wrong with my eyes, but it just is. One of the practices that a lot of schools do is they'll do a fasting practice. They'll have a practice. We just recently did a very brief fast where you would take a meal in the middle of the day. You would take precepts. You would take a meal and take vows. Your last meal would be around noon, and then you wouldn't eat till the next day. It's a very simple fast. And just watching, you're not really hungry. You're just empty, and you don't perish. It's just you're uncomfortable, but it gets you to thinking, and it gets you helpful. It's helpful to relate with people that don't have unlimited access to food. So it's a very useful exercise to put up with discomfort. Most of us are going to live to an old age, and that last week of life is going to be very uncomfortable. Most of us. I hate, spoiler alert, I hate to break the news. It's going to be very uncomfortable. So wouldn't it be nice if we learned to put up with it now rather than become agitated about it then? And that's what we want to do. When we're on our last week, when it's our last day, when it's our last hour, we want our minds to be Okay, this is it. I'm on to my next adventure. This is a little uncomfortable. I wish I could tolerate the pain a little bit better. If I had practiced better, I would, but oh well, it's a useful exercise. And I managed to hit all my bubble points. Yay. We did the
Jack,
meditation. Are there
Jack,
are
could
there
I ask you
oh,
something, Jack,
yeah,
about
we have dedication prayers. I almost forget. Did you just remind me to do the dedication prayers?
uh,
Thank you very much.
no, I had a quick question about pleasantness.
Oh, go,
Is
go.
that okay? Because you said not to really focus on um a pleasantness during the meditation, but there is something like with the four measurables about joy and happiness that that's different than pleasantness, like that, right?
Yeah, the four immeasurables are, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness, including yourself. You want everybody to be permanently happy, and the only way to do that is to perfect all these practices. You want everybody to be completely free from that's actually the first level. It's not pleasure that brings happiness, it's satisfaction. But you want everybody to be free from suffering. You want everybody to have perfect equanimity, not to judge this, love this one more than that, hate this one, love this one. You want to have those things, but you want to have it permanently. You don't want to be when I'm talking about pleasant. Yeah, you want everlasting happiness. Pleasure is going to come and go. I mean, you might have a pleasurable experience while you're meditating, but if you grasp after it, pleasure is the second form of suffering. The first form is the suffering of suffering. If you hit your thumb with a hammer, that's pain and that's suffering. But the second form is pleasure because that's going to pass. Like, for example, if you here's an extreme one, if you like to do heroin, uh, that's an extreme form of pleasure, but it's going to pass and it's going to end badly. Maybe not that day, but it will. It will end badly unless you stop. Um, you don't want to be attached to pleasure, and those kind of things are going to happen while we're meditating. Did
Thank you.
did I answer that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's dedication.
Okay. Now the bookends of everything that we do start with a motivation, which we did at the beginning, and now we're going to do a dedication at the end. And when we do the dedication, what that does is that preserves it until we're fully enlightened. What can happen if we do a practice that has merit to it, and then we get angry at somebody, that can destroy it. But if we dedicate it like we're doing right now, it can never be destroyed. It's like putting your merit like a drop of water in the ocean. It's there kind of forever. It's not a great example, but that's what happens with dedication. So in the Gold Book on page 235, and I think I've got it on the screen. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and leave all the beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow. May that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Just brave Manjushri and Samantrabhadra too realize things as they are. I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as best by the victorious ones thus gone 3 times, so I might perform good works. I dedicate whatever virtues I've collected for the benefit of the teachings of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of perfect pure Losandrapa to shine forever. And the short, long life prayer for His Holiness. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. And in praise of Lama Tsongkhapa, we'll repeat this 3 times. Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of non-objectifying compassion, Manjushri, master of stainless wisdom, Vajrapani, destroyer of the entire host of Mara, Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the sage of the land of snows, Tolosan, drop at your feet I make request. Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of non-objectifying compassion, Manjushri, master of stainless wisdom, Vajrapani, destroyer of the entire host of Mara, Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the sages of the land of snow, Tolosan, drop at your feet I make request. Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of non-objectifying compassion, Manjushri, master of stainless wisdom, Vajrapani, destroyer of the entire host of Mara, Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the sages, the land of snows, Tolosan, drop at your feet I make request. And finally, a prayer for the swift return of His Holiness, a swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Sarvakas, Pratibhukas, victorious Losa, father and sons, along with lineage masters, all objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading these precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and mother living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples.
Thank you, Jack. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.